Welcome back to the Property Triangle. I'm Arpit Shah, buyer's agent at BuyerBud. Today we've got a very special episode. We're talking about first-home buyers in Melbourne, not just theory. You're going to hear from our clients, two of our own clients who've taken very different approaches to get into the market, and both are already winning. We've got Pratik, who works in IT, who started his investment journey in Townsville that skyrocketed from $335,000 to $550,000 in just under 2 years. And that used the equity to buy his dream home in Croydon. In fact, today is a settlement day, so congratulations, Pratik. And we've got Aakarsh, migration lawyer, brought in Craigieburn for $695,000. And before settlement itself, the property is already jumped in value, with another home selling in the market for over $730,000. That's how fast the market is moving right now in Craigieburn. We're going to start with some quick fire icebreaker. When you first thought about buying a property, Pratik, what scared you the most?
I think first thing was the clarity around the property market itself. Never had an idea about how to get into the property market first. Did a lot of research, and then somewhere I came to know that you're into being a buyer agent. So that was another thing, which kind of gave me a sense of reliability with you, since we already shared that relation before as well. So thought, why not give it a try first? Because I was basically having a kind of deposit, which I was initially going to spend it somewhere else, to be precise, buying a dream car before. But then I thought, why not spend it somewhere where it basically, gives me some kind of return instead of, spending that money, which was only going to go in depreciating asset, instead of, buying something that's going to give me something better in the future. So that was the main reason for me to go into the property market initially. Yeah. Didn't expect it to be that amazing, which we initially thought. But looking at the numbers right now, it seems pretty positive. And, buying a principal price of residence is basically dream come true.
Amazing. All right. And Aakarsh, what was your first reaction when you told your family that you're buying a property?
Interestingly, I didn't tell my family. I haven't told them still. Wow. I mean, because I thought, like more people and the whole family is, of course, except for my wife, everybody is back home. So they don't really understand the nitty-gritties. Yeah. And then I think, too many chefs spoil the broth. So if I involve too many people, it restricts me from taking decisions. It restricts me from taking the next step. Yeah. They ask me to take advice from people who they took advice from, 20 years ago. So I just thought, me and my wife, we thought we'll just take this decision ourselves. Yeah. And I think it seems it's worked out in our favor.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll go into a bit more detail. But let's start with you, Pratik. Take us back. Why Townsville as your first property investment? What was, your doubts at that time when we first presented that we've got a region called Townsville and we're going to go buy a property there for $335,000?
I think the first thing is the discovery call we made, right? That pretty much gave me like a clarity around the whole property market thing itself, firstly. Selecting Townsville was majorly a best decision and, like a precision decision by us, because you mentioned that there was going to be a lot of activities around it, like building some kind of like port, which is going to be good for defense sector or something. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people going to move in there, which currently we are seeing it. Yeah. So looking at the numbers and plus whatever the local council, like there was a lot of activity around like going on projects coming in as well. So we thought, why not go for it? Yeah. And the best part was like, the good thing is we didn't take it in the flood zone. So that was another game changer as well. Yeah. Like, after we bought the property, there was already a situation where there was floods in that area and our property wasn't affected by it.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the due diligence that we do, that we always ensure the properties is not coming under flood zone, especially in a flood-prone area like Townsville. It's very important that, people do their due diligence. And a lot of people didn't invest in Townsville because of the fear factor of, they think the entire region floods, but that's not the case. There's a lot of population. There's more than 250,000 people, living there in that particular economy. So, the way I sort of look at it is, if there are floods, property that didn't flood will have even more demand to it because people are rushing to those properties. Okay, great. All right. In under 2 years, the property has grown from $335,000 to over $550,000. So $200K growth, and it's still growing. That market is not slowing down. How does that make you feel?
I think in terms of, it gives you a sense of reliability, right? The money you invested gives you a good return of investment, right? Actually, we were not even expecting that much, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think initial talks when we had it was Townsville. I think you showed me a few properties initially.
Yeah.
I was a bit skeptical when you showed me this property, but
Yeah.
as soon as we jumped onto it, the numbers looked real. So
Yeah.
we went into it. 1 year down the line, it basically rented for a good amount of, good amount of time as well. And then probably in years' time, we basically did a reno as well with that property.
Yes.
So that increased the value much more
Absolutely.
than what
Yeah.
we were thinking. So yeah, I think basically that property has given us good return of investment, which is unimaginable.
Yeah, no, that's great, and it kind of gave you the confidence to buy the next one. So now most people would think that you should buy your own home first, but you went down the path of investment. What was the reasons? What was kind of your thought process?
To be honest, it was pretty simple. I was not sure to basically go for a principal place of residence. First thing was around the building part where I spoke to you about it initially. Like I wanted to build a house first, but then the uncertainty around like there's a lot of builders, there's a lot of dodgy things going around.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to basically go down that path and put myself into that shoe where I'm renting a place till my place is going to be built.
Yeah.
And that's literally you're paying double the money.
Yes.
Right? In this situation, I just had basically initially 60,000, which I put in for my deposit.
Yeah.
And the rest of the part, the property did it for itself. So
Correct.
there was no stress. I
Yes.
was living stress free.
Yeah.
My rent was literally getting nullified by the amount of mortgage I was paying. So I think it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So I think the main reason for going for the first investment property was because the numbers were pretty strong.
Yeah.
Which I think, thanks to you, that you showed that. That's
Yeah.
the main reason.
Yeah,
for
I
me to go
remember
for
at
it.
one point, whatever deposit you paid, you actually got that back from the bank.
I did.
And then you also got half of the LMI back as
I
well.
did.
Which was crazy because I use that example to explain to a lot of people. Saying,
Yeah.
Don't be scared. And we'll cover that, in terms of, buying property with low deposit. Don't be scared about LMI and other things.
Exactly.
But no, that's great. Now, how did you use that equity and how did that equity help you land your Croydon home? Which, by the way, is a steal at $775,000 because the suburb median, for those who don't know, Croydon is the eastern suburb of Melbourne, very tightly held owner-occupier pocket. How did that sort of property in Townsville help you get to your property in Croydon?
So as you know, the first year when we bought the property after first year, we did a refinance on it, and we had basically redrawn a good amount of equity from it, right? We used that equity, I'd say 30% of it maybe, just to renovate the property. Like I did the interior paints, exterior paints of it, which literally paid off. As soon as the property was repainted, it literally shooted up in the rental market as well. So initially it was renting for $430. After we did the repaint, it literally went to $495.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's great result.
So, and plus, after that, we were basically looking at what sort of market we're looking around in the property.
Yeah.
So I did a second refinance on it.
Yes.
Which, because, there was rate cards going to go and,
Yes.
the one which I got was pretty high. So I thought, okay, why not? So as soon as I went for it, I literally got exceeding amount of equity from it. So
amazing.
As I had that, I did want to basically move into a second property first.
Yeah.
But then it didn't make sense to put that money into second property. Instead, I thought, let's go for a principal place of residence. Maybe stay there for a year or two, and then we think about another investment property.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think I remember, when we first, were looking into that Townsville, I think that was one of the goals as well, that you could potentially tap into that property's equity, and, buy investment property or, buy upgrade your PPO or buy your first property to live in. And, life happens and, goals change. Obviously, you got a partner now. So those kind of things will, take you into certain directions. So, that's amazing. And today is your settlement day. So how does that make you feel? What's going through your head?
It is I can't explain it in words. Buying your first home. And plus, it was the good part is mom and dad were here when we went to look at the property.
Yeah.
Pretty proud feeling. 7 years down the line when I came to Melbourne, never thought about it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a good feeling. Can't express it.
Yeah, so happy for you, mate. Like that's an awesome achievement, buying your own home, and the way you sort of approached it and things like that. I mean, the other thing is, like, even though the Croydon property, I mean, we bought it under market value as well. So now you'll just see how the market will explode, because especially with the changes that are coming in October and things like that. No, but I think awesome timing in terms of settling, and wish you sort of amazing things in terms of what that property is going to bring for you in terms of growth and other things as well. All right, moving on to Aakarsh. Aakarsh, your strategy was different. We bought in Craigieburn as your first. Now, why that area?
Well, one word answer is because you told me to. But now when I look back, I mean, I know we did a few discussions. I remember having my first call with you 1 year ago.
Oh yeah.
Because I was like, if I want to buy after 1 year, what are the things I should keep in mind?
Yeah.
And I mean, except for saving strategy and how much money I should have, there was not much shared because I wasn't ready, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
And then when we got into it, I think just the practical aspects of what to look at, because I mean, when as a purchaser, if I go, what will I look at? Is the garden good? Is the construction good? Is everything looking beautiful? But those are not the things that you normally look at when you actually buy a property. You look at numbers, what the supply is, what the I mean, because so many times I felt like, for this price in this area, I'm getting double sized property. Why should I not go for that? But I think it was for me, to be very honest, it was just your and Amit's guidance of sort of bringing me back to the lane, because I would just deviate here and there.
Yeah.
And when you said that, this is what's happening, you showed me, not just told me, you just showed me why.
Yeah.
And that's what led to me buying the property there.
Yeah, so like Craigieburn market is on fire. Now we bought for $695,000 and we got longer settlement. So that was the good thing. We got 90-day settlement, which obviously gives you time to get all ready. And it, in a way, it worked out for the seller as well, because they wanted to move out of the property. They wanted to take their own time. But what happens is, when you're buying in a hot market, and if you get longer settlement, you're just riding the wave but not paying any money. So you're essentially watching the market grow. And then if you waited 90 days, that you would have ended up paying that $30,000-$40,000 more for the same amount of or similar type of property anyways. Have you been following the market, and did you expect such fast growth in terms of that particular suburb?
Not really. I mean, not really to the question that I didn't expect such fast growth. I've been following the market ever since we made that decision, and I look at properties in the same area because that's what I should be looking at. And there are some properties which are very similar to ours, getting sold for 710, 720, 730.
Yeah.
And some very old. Now that I know what you should be looking at in a property, I can differentiate.
Yeah.
Earlier it was just like, I mean, I was not comparing an apple to an apple.
Yeah.
But now when I compare an apple to an apple and I feel, okay, this is something similar to my property built 15 years, 20 years ago,
Correct.
3-bedroom, 400 meters square, like whatever
Yeah.
the specifications are. And when I see it getting sold for like 720, 30, 40, some even up to 770, I feel confident.
Yes. I think that's the main thing, right? A lot of it is like, mindset, and, we're data driven. Now, for those who don't know, like, what's happening in Craigieburn. So Craigieburn's data in terms of auction clearance is sitting at 90%. That means 9 out of 10 homes are selling in auction. They're not passing in. They're selling under the hammer every week. And then the days on market is only 33, which means property are not staying on market for too long as well. The other thing is stock on market is only 0.8%. So there's only hardly any stock for us to buy. And that's also causing, people going to the auctions and overpaying for properties as well. And then the other thing is just, overall, when the supply is down and the demand is up, add that to the mix that Craigieburn is not too far from the city. It meets the affordability and the type of asset that you got, and the type of target, the type of asset that we target in terms of having a certain block size, low maintenance property, and things like that. That will have its own kind of demand in the long term, and plus give you that confidence when you go to the bank and you refinance that particular property, and when you see that equity growing, I think you'll have the similar sort of an effect that Pratik here had as well. Now, how does it make you feel in terms of when you see that, okay, you haven't even settled on the property, but the market is moving, right? what is your plan with that? Like, what are you going to do? Let's say, for example, fast forward 12 months from now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, first we're going to try and adjust to the new way of living because we always lived in the city.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, as discussed and as advised by you as well early on, that, if we're not getting too emotionally attached to the property just because it's our first home. I mean, we take it as our first purchase.
Yes.
And then if we love the area, if we love staying there, maybe we'll continue. And if we don't, then maybe we'll move out and convert this into an investment property.
Yeah.
So you've given us multiple options,
Correct.
Something to do after 12 months, after 18 months. So that's also useful.
Yeah.
That
I think that was your brief as well, right? From memory, I think you were still not sure. I think you currently live in the city.
Yeah.
So obviously that comes with a certain level of lifestyle. You live in an apartment which has got views and everything. You kind of used to, the commute being easy and things like that. You wanted something close proximity to the city. Obviously, budget being a constraint as well. Like obviously, inner city properties tends to be more expensive and things like that. But we didn't that's just something we don't buy. We don't buy apartments. We don't buy off the plan, units, or we don't buy, something which is like overcapitalized, display homes, and those we don't buy that because we buy property for growth. And I think in your strategy, I think the differentiation point was that you've got options. Like the market is growing, so you can always tap into that particular, and depending upon your borrowing capacity, you can get that equity out and start building your property portfolio, or you could always sell that property and convert, start moving into another rental property and start building your property portfolio like that. What it gives you is that capital acceleration, because there's limit in terms of how much deposit you can save, but the property can work a lot harder for you, and property is growing while you sleep. That's the main point of difference. All right. So in terms of next thing, I want to talk about the low deposit pathways, because both of you, started off with low deposit. You started off with like 5%, 10% deposit, right? So let's talk about, let's unpack that a bit. What made you comfortable, starting with a lower deposit and not waiting to save for 20% deposit, which was traditional sort of an approach that I made, when I started my property journey back in 2017. We waited. So we were ready in 2015, but the only reason we took until 2017 because we wanted to save the 20% deposit. And that was something that we were told at that time. But obviously now the markets have changed. You guys have access to a lot more knowledge and things like that. So what was the change in your mindset where it kind of led you to take action in terms of 5% deposit is good enough or 10% deposit is good enough? Maybe Pratik, I'll start with you.
I think the major part of it is like if you do the calculations correctly, the amount of time you're going to take to save that 20% is almost going to be, let's say, at least 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Or probably maybe earlier, or some. If
Correct.
Somebody has a good saving skill, probably a year maybe. But I mean, let's say if I start today, let's say I bought a property for 5%, I'm giving like 15, 20,000 of LMI on it, right?
Yeah.
But for that 1 year, after that 1 year, when I refinance that property, I'm anyways going to get that LMI back.
Yes.
Right? Like in my case, which has happened already,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I did that calculation initially, and I think that made me a bit more confident that, wasting my time in saving that 20% is much easier than, I'll just put in a 5% down payment.
Yeah.
And then maybe think about how the property is going to grow and, make all that calculations, which helps us.
Yeah.
So that was a big, the part of it which motivated me to go for that 5% deposit instead of, waiting for that 20% of it.
Yeah. And Aakarsh, you've got the 5% kind of scheme changes coming in from the October, and you being in the migration sort of industry, what impact do you think that will bring to the property market?
I think, more and more people are getting a lot of awareness, as you just
Yes.
mentioned, and they're getting advice, they're getting information. So I am pretty confident with the numbers of people that are, coming in, and a lot of people from New Zealand and, other countries coming in directly as permanent residents with access to buying houses just, right on the go. I mean, there are, of course, international students, but they sort of get ready after 5-7 years, like how, what happened with me.
Yeah.
I think, of course, and then I'm not very well researched on the availability of houses, but from what I know, there's shortage.
Yeah.
So if there's going to be a shortage, then it will automatically mean, like, if you go to get a rental property, you minimum see a queue of 20-25 people if the property is good.
Exactly. Yeah.
So so it's just going to go up. And in terms of the going ahead with the 5% deposit also, I think there were two things that led me to it. One was mindset, that there's always going to be many reasons to not do something, but
Yes.
maybe just one reason to do it, which is just do it.
Yeah.
And numbers,
Yeah.
like if I'm paying $3,000 a month rent. So let's say if I wait for 2 years to save the 20%, and today the house is priced at 700, in 2 years time it's priced at 800. So then my 20% will always have a
Exactly.
A big gap.
a big
Yeah.
gap, and
Yeah.
I'll pay 60,000 in rent, which will pay somebody else's mortgage.
Yeah. Mm. And I think that's great. I think you've nailed it, right? And obviously, you talk to a lot of people who are on their verge of, getting permanent residency, or you also would have helped so many clients who've got permanent residency. Is like buying a property like the first thing they would be thinking to do, like when they get their permanent residency.
100%. I
Yeah.
think with the work that I do, we call it getting your Australian dream. But I think for a lot of people, having that feeling that they've
They belong here.
lived the Australian dream is when they buy a property, because then
course.
they have the feeling that they own something.
They own something. They're rooted. They a bit more. Yeah, I completely agree. And a lot of people kind of go through that. And even the clients that we've helped in similar situation, we've had clients buy a lot of become rent investors, similar to what you did, Pratik. But I think right now with the government schemes and things like that, we're going to see a wave of new people coming in forward to buy their owner-occupier, where we can deploy strategies like you've done. Still, keep that flexibility, but still getting into the market. I think it's best of both worlds. At the end of the day.
But I think the rent investing thing, I think it requires more awareness, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like if I tell you, like my understanding is not much people are comfortable with that, because usually when I say a lot of people, let's say they get their permanent residency, the first thing they want to do is, let's say they want to buy a house. They're not going to go to the experts just for the sake of it. They're going to be like, I'll research it.
Yeah.
I'll buy a house and land package, and then they get stuck for it.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's when, the experts come in. Like first they make a mistake for the first year when they buy the first property.
Yeah.
And then they realize it, and then like, okay, we've lost so much money in it.
Yes.
So there has to be more awareness, I would say.
Yeah, I think where the missing link, and thanks for bringing that up, is the opportunity cost. You wait 5 years, but what that 5 years would have, I think yours is a great example. You didn't even have to wait 5 years. You basically, within the 2 years,
2 years,
you got enough sort of equity in your property that gave you that much confidence. Now I think you've created a foundation for yourself,
Yes.
right? So that property, like the first property, is so critical because that is creating a foundation for you.
Yep.
And if that does well, that gives you confidence to get to property number 2, and then
Yes.
1 and 2 helps you get to property number 3, and that's how you're able to build a property portfolio. At the end of the day,
Exactly.
you need the properties to work hard so that you can scale your portfolio.
Exactly.
All right. Looking back, what was the biggest misconception you had about buying your first property in Australia?
I think the biggest misconception I feel was that early days I was like, I should like the property 100%, and it should tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
But then later I realized it's just like anything else in life. I mean, even with relationships, it's not possible that you get someone in which you have 100% of qualities. Not that my wife, I have 100% qualities. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I mean, like when I went to inspections early on, I was like, oh, there's a hole, there's this, there's that. Like so many. So perception changed due to discussions with you. That you have to keep the emotion away. And I think that that was the misconception. Then you buy the house being emotionally attached to it. Because that's what I think the conditioning has been.
Yeah.
It was good to just let go of it and break that misconception and get something, because otherwise I would have still been on the edge and not taken that leap of faith.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's very important. I think that's what it comes down to, right? Taking action sometimes and just overcoming that fears and again, like you will either, win or you will learn, like it's one of those two. So Pratik, I think what's one piece of advice that you will give to someone sitting on the fence right now? And I can tell you that there are still a lot of people sitting on the fence. They're still waiting for that interest rates to come down, and then they'll get into the property market. But, I'm not sure what will be available at that time.
Yeah, I think with the 5%, the scheme that the government's going to bring out, it's going to be a lot difficult in the future to buy that house, which you really, really think. And let's say you're saving for like 20%. I think you already have a reel on it, if I'm not wrong. Remember, you have a reel with, I think, your wife, I think. Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good example, right? If you wait, let's say, for 5 years so that I can pay 20% deposit, but after 5 years, that same property is going to make more numbers instead.
Yeah.
Right? So I reckon if you're sitting on the fence, just take a decision and just get into it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Buy something which would probably make good numbers for you in the future. So yeah, just don't wait.
Yeah. Also, I think like if you look into it and things like that, like historically, right now, the amount of money being printed is more than ever. So essentially, it's the dollar that is losing its value. So people feel like, oh, the assets are going up and like, property is becoming unaffordable. No, it's just the dollar's losing its value,
The cost of living is always going to be a factor.
And
right?
so rather than blaming the system, what you can't control that. What you can control is like, your own life, your own finances.
Exactly.
And, to take charge of your own decisions and not living in that fear. If you've got borrowing capacity, if you've got your finance, work on your mindset, get some knowledge, read books, watch podcasts, watch YouTube. There's so much content available out there, and build yourself that much confidence, or just engage a professional and trust them to do the right thing and produce the results for you. And as I said, in a few years' time, you'll just thank that you took that action, because it sometimes can be life changing for a lot of people as well. All right, we're gonna do some rapid fire round. So I'm just gonna throw a statement out there and you just respond straight away. Don't take too much time. All right, Aakarsh, house or unit or apartment?
House.
Why?
Because I purchased one recently. But I think because it's got more land component and that will appreciate in value over time than any structures. So,
yeah, great. Melbourne or regional, or capital city or regional, Pratik?
Regional.
Regional? Why?
I mean, numbers make sense.
Yeah.
Regional, it's going to be a bit more tight.
Yeah.
But regional, you have more opportunities and big block of lands.
Yes. Awesome. Save longer or jump in sooner?
Jump in sooner.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just keep thinking.
You get priced out as well, right?
Exactly.
All right. Owner-Occupier first or investment first?
Investment.
Investment?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. One word to describe your property journey so far.
I have 2 words. Exciting and overwhelming.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pratik?
Phenomenal.
Wow. Okay. All right, we're going to close this. Massive thank you to both of you, Pratik and Aakarsh, for joining us and being open to share your journeys. This is going to be like super valuable to everybody watching. And these kind of stories of first-home buyers, this is what the first-home buyer wants to hear. This kind of stuff gives them confidence, to again take action. Some people might have been, looking, they might be sitting on that borrowing capacity. Their pre-approval is expiring and they keep on renewing it. But this will probably, get them to take action. That's why we do these things. And because there's like no one size fits all. And, we discuss how, Pratik took a very different approach. At that point, he didn't need or feel the need to buy an owner-occupier home. So he went down the rent investing path. And, that gave him that confidence and that equity to get into, a location, which otherwise he would have probably needed to save a lot more money to get into that particular market. So the property worked, equally hard. So he essentially, had another, an asset working for that other property as well.
Yep.
And Aakarsh, your strategy, I mean, I know we're just laying the foundation right now, but, you give it some time and let the property do its thing. And, I'm sure you'll come back and you'll be like, I'm ready for my next investment now. You both took different paths and, you both saw results, or you're seeing results right now in terms of how the markets are moving. But it's all about making smart property decisions. If you are a first-home buyer in Melbourne or anywhere in Australia, drop your questions in comments and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. We want to share more real stories on the Property Triangle podcast. Thank you and goodbye.